Would you believe that this is our second big Atelier game this year? Indeed it is, and from an unlikely sub-series too. Now, I remember playing Atelier Resleriana, Forgotten Alchemy and the Polar Knight Liberator when it first came out. While I did really like the characters featured, the experience was heavily weighed down by being a free-to-play mobile gacha game first and foremost. The global service being shut down earlier this year was also a huge bummer. This is where Atelier Resleriana, the Red Alchemist and the White Guardian comes into play. Set in the same universe as the gacha game, but also offering a unique storyline that anyone can enjoy. There's also no gacha whatsoever, but the trade-off is that it does cost £50, though that is more than worthwhile, as we'll see later. Full disclosure, Koei Tecmo Europe did provide me with a review code for this game, but of course all thoughts and opinions are my own. Most of my gameplay footage and time was spent with the PC version through Steam. There will also be mild spoilers for the game's first half. The story centers around two core protagonists, one male and one female. Our female protag is Rias Eldais, a very cheerful adventurer who is very keen to take the initiative. Hell, her intro to us was her eavesdropping on a request from the Sky Cavern and wandering into those caverns alone. That didn't quite work out for her. But before she got smushed into mysterious pudding jelly, the other protagonist came to save her. Slay Cloy Slighter, our male protagonist in this story. He's meant to be the level-headed one of the duo, a mediator between Rias' eccentricity and the others. Both have their own goals relating to the story. Rias inherits a shop left by her grandfather, Mistletoe Miscellaneous, in the town of Halfane. When a disaster struck the town, the whole area, including the shop, became derelict, and remained so up until the story's start. A major part of Resleriana RW is rebuilding the town of Halfine so it doesn't stay a post-apocalyptic wasteland. How do we do it? Well, through alchemy and fairies. Let's begin with the alchemy system first. While it has roots from the gacha it shares a series with, it's also quite a bit different. Gone are the collaborative alchemists and random traits, and in comes a more traditional system where the traits an item can inherit are from the ingredients put into it. Each ingredient retains its own gift colour, and you are highly incentivized to link matching colours. Layout of everything is much easier to wrap your head around and optimize. I'd say it beats how Yumiya handles alchemy. Also, wow, the Atelier is something else. Unlike Riser 3 and Yumiya, the Atelier is a set location in the world. I have to say, it does successfully capture the essence of stepping into another world where you're in control. In fact, the whole game looks very nice. It retains the art direction of the gacha game, which is already one of its best elements, and expands on it further. I'd say it's far better than Yumiya graphically, which had weak textures and art direction, while being more than twice as hard to run. Speaking of other worlds, at the end of the Atelier is a portal that transports you to different dimensional paths. To my surprise, this section plays out like a roguelite, with you advancing through different segments, going up floors, and before too long, taking down a boss. These dimensional paths are also where you encounter the fairies. Just encountering one in the dungeons will give you the option to select from one of 3 buffs that will persist for the rest of the area. You can also, crucially, choose the highest head fairy so they can assist you in the shop. I can certainly foresee this being quite fun to constantly advance through, but I also foresee getting fatigued of these locations, as these set pieces are far simpler than the overworld on the other side. But how do I fight these monsters, you say? Well, through turn-based battles, of course. As someone who found the chaos of Rise of 3 and Yumiya's combat quite overwhelming, going back to turn-based makes for a nice change of pace. You have a standard array of options, a double attack, multiple skills, and items. That's just the tip of the iceberg though. One additional mechanic are multi-actions. When you have one character in the rear and another in the front, you can use skills or items without consuming AP. doing so also counts as a free switch-in, which can be helpful when enemies resist certain type combinations. Oh, and seeing what happens when you mix certain bombs together is also rather cool. And finally, let's go to Mistletoe Miscellaneous and open up shop. This is the main driver of the story. Yes, there's Alchemy and side quests too, but this is the meat on the dinner plate. When you have the time to, you can sell your excess wares or carefully created goods through here. What I said before about gift colours applies here, but also balancing what items you sell is key here too. Obviously, you'd want to sell more expensive goods, but the types of items you sell matter too, as those can affect which areas of the town level up faster. The fairies also take a cut of your revenue, so be sure that you're turning a profit each time. Okay, that's the crux of the gameplay. Now time for my own opinions. I had no trouble with how the UI looks and how to navigate. Sure, it's on the simpler side compared to earlier games, but it's also not to the point of being sterile. I also think it's an improvement on the gacha aesthetically, helped by not being dedicated to mobile devices. I find it funny that characters don't question that A and Rias have very distinct ears. That's just normal here, and I like that. There's a mixture of new and returning soundtracks. My favourite returning track was Starting Point of Adventure, which plays in the Sky Cavern. The new tracks range from good to excellent, which shouldn't be a surprise considering Atelier games tend to excel in that department. The game has generally been stable with no crashes or anything like that, though it hasn't been perfect. I did manage to encounter a glitch after a cutscene where the camera got fixed inside the wall, allowing Rias to roam freely, which led to a situation like this. Gust, please fix. I really like Rias. I initially thought she'd just be yet another Resler, but no, she has her own goals and distinct ones at that. The moment where her eyes turned magenta and told Slade exactly what to do made me freak out a bit. Though when the real Resler appeared in the story, that's when the fanboying really struck me. Perhaps my favourite moment in any Atelier game I've played yet. And oh my goodness, the CGs, they're just absolutely gorgeous. Always such a delight when one appears. Even made too for my wallpapers. I was quite disappointed when I saw them leave, probably so Katie could sell them as DLC later? We will never know. The only other returning character from a game I'll mention will be Raze from Mana Kimia 2. I remember having him on my teams in the gacha, and he feels even more dependable here. Slade is okay here. He definitely feels second fiddle to Rias from what I've seen. Not sure if that's because I selected to play from Rias' perspective at the start, or that's just how the story plays out. For my 10 hours of gameplay, I've seen them mention this formerly empty book, and after going into our first dungeon, some pages got filled out in a language foreign to them. That sounds like an interesting premise, it just feels like a sideshow against the town rebuilding A-plot. I'll update you in the comments if I find that this changes after say 30 hours. I guess the final thing I'll comment on is the difficulty. On normal, the game is quite easy, to the point that I considered going up to hard difficulty. There's this block mechanic you can do to reduce damage taken from enemy attacks, but unlike in a game like Expedition 33, the window to block and the indicators are so easy to tell that makes most fights not that much of a challenge. There's also no counter mechanic to it, so you just have to wait until your turn arrives. I would prefer an in-between of the two difficulties, something akin to Mario and Luigi or Paper Mario's dodge and counter system. So, what are my final thoughts? Is this game worth $60 or £50? I'd say yes. If you're looking for a cozy turn-based game with Atelier trademark charm, while also having twists such as town rebuilding and a roguelite dungeon system. Though, if you are buying this on Switch, I'd caveat this by saying that there unfortunately aren't any Switch 2 enhancements. From what I've heard, it's a better experience than Lumia, but you'll be stuck at 30 FPS. Really, all Atelier games this year should have a Switch 2 enhancement patch. Anyway, has your experience with Atelier Resleriana for Red Alchemist and for White Guardian been? Comment down below. I'll see you next time.